picture the biggest predator to ever walk on two legs. 9 tons of muscle, teeth the size of bananas, a bite strong enough to crush bone like a soda can. Now look down at its arms. They barely reach its own chest. For decades, that image has been a punchline, but the real answer is far stranger than a joke, and it says more about how evolution actually works than almost any other fossil on Earth. You've seen the memes. T-Rex trying to clap. T-Rex trying to push up. The tiny arms became a symbol of nature's sense of humor, a cosmic prank on the king of the dinosaurs. Except nature doesn't do pranks. Every bone, every joint, every scar left on fossilized muscle attachment points exists because it did something useful, or because it once did something useful and simply never got selected away. So why would a 9-ton killing machine hang onto arms that at first glance look completely pointless? Start with what those arms could actually do. Paleontologist Jack Horner spent years studying Tyrannosaurus rex skeletons at the Museum of the Rockies, and his analysis of the forelimbs revealed something unexpected. They weren't decorative. The bones show thick attachment scars for biceps that could curl roughly 200 pounds. That's not a weak muscle. That's a muscle built for something specific, even if the reach was short. Here's where the mystery deepens. In 2017, biomechanist Sara Burch published a detailed study on T-Rex shoulder and arm mobility, mapping exactly how far those limbs could rotate. Her findings showed the arms had a strange, restricted range of motion. They couldn't reach forward far. They couldn't reach up, but they could rotate the forearm and grip inward toward the body with real force. Picture something less like a hand reaching out and more like a hook pulling in. What would a 9-ton predator need to pull toward its own chest? One leading theory points to feeding. Not hunting. Feeding. When a T-Rex clamped its jaws onto a struggling animal, that grip alone could weigh more than a small car. The problem wasn't catching prey. It was holding on to it once the jaws were already doing the work. Short, strong arms with a locking inward grip could brace a carcass against the chest while the head did the tearing. Long arms in that scenario wouldn't just be unnecessary, they'd be dangerous. A limb extended out near a 9-ton animal's own thrashing prey is a limb at serious risk of breaking. Consider the size problem separately. As Tyrannosaurus evolved into an apex predator, its skull kept growing to handle bigger, tougher prey. Bigger skulls need bigger neck muscles. Bigger neck muscles need more anchoring space along the spine and shoulders. Something had to give ground. Paleontologist Kevin Padian has pointed to this kind of trade-off across multiple tyrannosaur lineages. As head size and bite force increased generation after generation, forelimb size consistently shrank in parallel. It wasn't random. It tracked, species after species, like a dial being turned down as another dial got turned up. That pattern alone is a clue most people miss. If the arms were just a random leftover, you'd expect their size to vary unpredictably across different tyrannosaur species. Instead, the smaller the arms got, the larger and more powerful the skull became almost every single time. Evolution rarely repeats an accident that precisely it repeats a trade. Now rewind further past T-Rex itself to its ancestors, early tyrannosauroids, the small and mid-sized relatives that lived tens of millions of years before Tyrannosaurus rex existed, already had proportionally longer, more functional arms. Somewhere along that evolutionary line, as body size exploded and skulls turned into bone-crushing weapons, the arms began quietly shrinking, not disappearing. Shrinking and specializing generation by generation, the same way a tool gets simplified once a better tool replaces its main job. This is the part that tends to surprise people the most. Tiny arms weren't a design failure. They were a side effect of becoming something else entirely. An animal whose entire hunting and feeding strategy had shifted almost completely into its skull and jaws. The head became the weapon. The neck became the engine. The arms, no longer needed for the main event, were trimmed down to whatever job remained. Gripping, bracing, maybe even helping the animal push itself up off the ground after lying down, something Horner has also suggested based on the arm's limited but forceful range. None of this means the arms were useless leftovers waiting to vanish completely. If T-Rex had survived another few million years, its arms might have shrunk further, or they might have stayed exactly where they were, locked into a stable, useful size for the specific job they still performed. Evolution doesn't aim for elegance. It aims for whatever keeps an animal alive long enough to reproduce. An arm that can brace 200 pounds of struggling prey against an armored chest is not a failure. It's a specialist's tool, refined down to exactly what was needed and nothing more. There's a broader lesson buried in this fossil, one that has nothing to do with dinosaurs at all. Traits that look useless from the outside are often just traits built for a job you haven't identified yet. The human appendix was mocked as a leftover organ for generations. Before researchers found evidence it may help repopulate healthy gut bacteria after illness. Wisdom teeth were dismissed as evolutionary junk before anthropologists connected their disappearance to changes in diet and jaw size over the last 10,000 years. Biology is full of features that look like jokes right up until someone studies the mechanism closely enough. That's worth sitting with for a second. How much of what looks broken, wasteful, or embarrassing about a body, any body, including your own, is actually just doing a narrower job than people expect, quietly and efficiently out of view. A body doesn't need every part to look impressive. It needs every part to work. Go back to that image one more time. 9 tons of muscle, a skull built to crush bone, and 2 short, powerful arms, locked in close, doing exactly the job they evolved to do. Not a punchline. A precise answer to a precise problem written into bone tens of millions of years before anyone was around to laugh at it.